Hi. Do we have to suffer to awaken? That's a question that is explained by mystics and spiritual teachers. I first heard about it when I was studying the works of George Gurdjieff, and he talked about how people are not connected to their souls until they fight to connect and find it. They have to have a strong desire to want to figure out who they really are. Your soul is your spiritual identity. Your body, your personality, your ego are not the real you. They're the mechanical you that you use while you're operating in this three-dimensional world, but it's temporary. And the spiritual you, the eternal you, is the real you. And once you discover that, you operate in a different frequency, a higher frequency, where you can solve problems when you need to, because you've connected to that eternal you that knows how to do things that are pretty amazing. The supernatural becomes natural. You can see miracles happening. You see the world from a whole different lens. You realize that there's always a solution. But in order to tap into that and find it, most people have to find themselves up against the wall with nowhere else to turn, because we're swimming around in this three-dimensional world and we don't realize that we're being hypnotized, mesmerized by the programming that we've been living with, because as soon as we're born, we start getting programmed by our culture and everything around us in order to function here in the three-dimensional world. And many times we just accept things that people are telling us in the educational system or in the churches or in our families, and we're just accepting them without questioning them. And maybe they don't even work for us. Maybe they're completely off kilter, or you get a bad feeling about it. You just don't feel like it's true, but you don't know how to change your belief system because it's so innately part of you until you have a shock. And that shock can be anything. It can be financial ruin. It can be getting fired. It can be a terrible health problem. It can be a divorce. It can be a lot of things that can be used to shock us enough to turn our thought away from the three-dimensional world to the spiritual, where we truly want to free ourselves, because it's just too painful and anxiety-ridden and miserable to be stuck in the 3D world. So what do? We pop off the matrix and we go to that place, which is the Christ consciousness, the higher realm of consciousness, where we can get a better view of everything. We get above it. We begin to see that we don't have to identify with the problem. As long as we're identifying with the problem, which is a belief, we can turn our thought away from it and amazing things can happen. We can have a miraculous healing. We can find a better career. We can happily divorce and find that it wasn't as terrible as we thought it would be when everything blew up. There's a gazillion ways that the problem can get solved. But if you trust that the outcome will be good for you and you're just being redirected, life is full of detours, obstacles. And when you get redirected, it's your higher self guiding you along the path of life in a way that is more useful, functioning, harmonious. And you'll look back and go, oh, now I realize why that happened to me. I learned a tremendous lesson, or I wouldn't be where I am today if that and that and that hadn't happened. So everything happens for a reason. And if you can look at the biggest, horrible situation you could possibly be in, which could cause you a lot of suffering, and use it as a stepping stone to take that leap of faith into the spiritual dimension, it's all worth it.